But I did want to talk about 1033. And in my inimicable style, I'm going to use the style in the caucus room when we describe bills. Sometimes I'll just stand up, and the bill will have been sponsored by my Republican counterpart, this guy named Ed Orca, who's the minority lead on finance issues. And the short way we describe bills is we just say, Orca, bad. This one is Iman, bad. Right, so that's the short answer, and that actually will work with many people. This is Tim Iman's latest effort. This is the most pernicious initiative that we have seen yet. This is a replica of Colorado's Tabor bill, in that it has draconian growth restrictions in a state that actually is growing quite rapidly. If we adopt this bill, if the population votes for it, a number of things will happen. They will likely be very similar to Colorado. When Colorado adopted the same thing in the early 90s, they fell from 35th in the nation to 48th in school funding. They fell from 30, somewhere about the same in higher education funding, to 48th. On healthcare funding, they've been bouncing at 50 for a long time. We start our school funding in the 40s. I don't think you can get worse than 50, but I don't know, if you start counting American Samoa or something, maybe we fall lower than that. It was a disaster in Colorado, and it was a disaster for their economy. They all argued in Colorado that this would improve the economy. Well, not so much. Colorado has not come out of any recession anywhere close to the growth rate of all the mountain states around it. And you would think that it would, because it actually has a reasonably dynamic economy. But no, it has grown slower than every other state that borders it. It has grown slower than comparable states. It does not get the economic growth. It does not get the job growth because no one can invest in infrastructure. So the way that 1033 works is it imposes a growth restriction of 1% plus population. And it does it not just on the state, but on local governments. And in many ways, the impact it will have on local governments will be even worse than what will happen at the state level. So at the state, it says, all right, if revenue grows faster than 1% plus, so this is population plus inflation. If revenue grows faster than that, we take the money that is on top of that, and you're not allowed to spend it. And then we put it in a fund that we use for lowering property taxes. So that seems like a reasonable idea. Except that when you lower the property taxes, it's not like you temporarily lower it because we had extra money here and we put it in here. No, you permanently lower property taxes. So every time that happens, and it will happen all the time, you ratchet down the property tax. The property tax is dedicated in the Washington State Constitution to be spent on education. Our prediction is that by 2016, this will eliminate the property tax in Washington State. We will take a tax system that penalizes poor people, and we will make it worse as a result of this. The property tax is much less regressive than the sales tax. We'll be more dependent on sales tax. The business community, and most of my talks are in front of the business community, is even worse off. Because when the property tax goes away, I got to fund schools, and the sales tax is about as high as we can raise it. And so where am I going to go? I'm going to go to B&O because it's the only place there is. And so the business community is going to wind up paying for this, and I'm trying to get that message through to them. I've got this slide deck here that is too slow for me. I can't. It just doesn't have enough stuff on each slide, so I didn't want to actually do it. The problem with the formula, and I'm somebody who actually tries to understand formulas, the problem with the 1033 formula, particularly for local governments, is that it doesn't take into account growth that is unrelated to population growth. So if you're a government, your costs sort of grow with your population. If you live in a neighborhood that's only residential, you add a new person, you've got to add, a 10,000th of a garbage collector, and you've got to add some new sewer, and it's sort of proportional. But if you add business growth in your downtown, which many cities would like to do, it generates new taxes. B&O taxes, generates new sales tax revenue. They will take all that money and they will reduce property taxes with it. But it actually takes money to build the infrastructure to make those businesses work. All those employees coming in, now there's no roads and there's no transit to pay for them to get there. There will be no incentive for local governments to provide any help to business growth, particularly to small business growth. And this will be a disaster for economic development. This is the worst possible initiative. The business community and the Republican governor in Colorado, and remember that Colorado is the home of Focus on the Family and all these sort of right-wing organizations, they all got together and said, we can't do this. We are killing our business community by killing all of the higher ed investment and killing transportation investment. We live in a place, and you live in a place, having driven here on 512 tonight, and then on 410, where we need to do some transportation investment. And we will not do any if this passes. I guarantee you, we will do no investment because we will have no money. Our limited public education money will get worse. We can't allow this to happen, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're a business person or not. This is a bad deal for Washington.